Hey guys, Mr. Riz here, and I'm going to help you guys out in Algebra 2 with our first chapter. And this actually we're going to call Chapter 0. It's going to just help you out, get familiar with some things you might have forgot over the summer, just to build up those skills before we jump into like the real Algebra 2 work. All right, so in this chapter, we're going to go through and talk about expressions, equations, and inequalities. So our first one, our day one, and that's what this video is going to be just simply about, is going over simplifying expressions. So we have a couple targets here. We want to make sure that you can use PEMDAS to simplify expressions, and then you can also substitute values into an expression and then simplify it. All right. So a big thing here is that we are going to be using PEMDAS, and that's what we say PEMDAS, but it stands for something. All right, what it stands is the order of operations we need to go through things. So we have parentheses first, and then after parentheses, exponents. And we multiply and divide. That can go in either order, so those can be switched around. Usually you always go left to right. And then lastly, you add or subtract. And once again, just like multiply and divide, those could be switched around and you go from left to right. The reason why we have PEMDAS is because we want to make sure we all follow the same steps. We want to make sure we all go in the same order. So this way, like if I have 3 plus 4 times 2, if I did 3 plus 4, which would be 7, and then times it by 2, we get 14. Versus if we did the 4 times 2 first, which is the correct thing to do, we get 8, we add that together is 11. That's the right answer. This is the wrong answer. And we have to have these orders of operations, one, to make sure that mathematically it works out, but also that we all follow the same format and we all get the right answer. Okay. A good way to remember too, PEMDAS is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's another way that you heard it. When I was growing up in school, I never actually heard of PEMDAS. It was just please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And yeah, we'll work our way through. We'll actually learn too in some Algebra 2 that there are some other things that are on here, like logarithmic and other types other than these here, but that's later on down the road. Okay, so let's talk about how do we simplify, and especially when it looks at fractions. Sometimes that throws us for a loop. A fraction is basically a division symbol. But the key thing about a fraction, and we don't see it, is technically there's parentheses over the entire numerator or the top of the fraction and parentheses over the bottom. All right, so if we try to put this all into a calculator, you're probably going to make a mistake unless you include those parentheses. So it's easier to just go through and take your time and simplify the entire top, simplify the entire bottom, and then just divide your two answers. So if I'm going to go through this first one here, I'm just going to simplify the top. I'm not going to worry about the bottom at all. Well, I'll worry about it later, but let's work on the top. So if we got 3 plus 6 divided by 2 times 3, first thing we're going to do is use the PEMDAS. So we're going to do the multiply or the division. They're the same like strength. So we're going to go from left to right. And so we're going to divide first. Wait, is that divide or that's a plus? Let's, you know what, to make our life easier, let's just change this to a plus. I probably could check. I have like a GIMP kit of this that has better, but I'm just looking at a PDF here. All right, let's go through. Actually, you know what? Strike that. I don't know. Let's pretend that that's division so we know the order. When it comes to multiplying and dividing, you do them in the same time, but you're going to go from left to right. So we're going to do this first. So we got 3 plus 6 divided by 2 is 3 times 3. All right. Once again, we're just going to leave the bottom alone and we're going to keep working. I like to put an equal sign to just kind of show we're moving along. That's the next part. All right, next, let's do it. We got 3 plus 3 times 3. We're going to do the 3 times 3 next. All right, and so we're going to have 3 plus 3 times 3 is 9. And then put another equal sign here. All right, then we can finally finish the top here. 3 plus 3 is 12. All right, now working with the bottom here. The bottom's real simple. It's just 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. And I'm just going to carry that 2 along the way until we get to the end. So now we simplified the entire top, simplified the entire bottom. and all we got to do is divide. So this whole expression simplifies down to just whatever 12 divided by 2 is, and that's 6. Circle it, we're good. Okay. If you want to try to pause the video and do the next one, go ahead, do that. And I'm going to go ahead and get this started in just a couple seconds. All right, so if you pause the video and you want to check your answer, let's see your work here. So let's simplify the top. All right, so we got 3 minus 3 times 2. Okay, we got parentheses, which technically we do have a set of parentheses on the top, but we're going to do the innermost parentheses. 3 times 2 is 6. Yeah, so we got 3 minus 6 on the top, and we're going to keep that going. 3 minus 6 is -3. Now on the bottom here, we're just going to simplify this. It's just 2 times 3, that's 6. And we're going to carry that along until we get to the end here. And then we're going to divide. Now, when we divide, we get a fraction here. That fraction is -1/2, or you can have a decimal of -0.5. Now, I typically, as just a human being, I prefer this fraction. Decimals are okay. In most sense, decimals will work. Fractions are better, though. They really are. Okay. So the next step that we're going to do here is we're going to simplify expressions. And what that means is we're not just going to be doing PEMDAS, but we're going to take variable values and plugging them into an expression. The key thing here, and this is nice, and here, big banner, whenever we're doing this, we're going to put the values in a parenthesis. That way, if we plug this into a calculator, we don't make a mistake. So we're going to substitute wherever we see an A, we're going to put a -2 in parentheses. If B equals 4, wherever we see a B, we're going to put a 4 in parentheses. And C equals 7, wherever we see a C, we're going to put a 7. And so you can see here we got another A, and so we're going to go ahead and change that to a -2. So we're going to rewrite this expression as 3, and then we got A squared, so we're going to put parenthesis -2 squared. All right, minus 5 times another A, so we'll put -2 in parentheses, plus 3 times C, so we'll put 7 in parentheses, and then minus B, we'll just put a 4 in parentheses by itself. So going through PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, we're going to look to see if there's any inside of the parentheses that we can simplify. So all these expressions are inside parentheses, but they're not being added or subtracted to anything. So we're done with that. The next thing we're going to do is move on to exponents. We do have one exponent here. It's this -2 that's being squared. All right, so we're going to leave everything else the same. So all this here is going to just stay the same. Let's see, it might be tedious to rewrite this, but it's good just practice skills. We're going to do -2 squared. This is why it's really, really important that you put this in parentheses first before you square it. -2 squared is +4. All right, next, we're going to do multiplication and division in either order, going from left to right. And all we have is a bunch of multiplies because this is 3 times 4, -5 times -2, 3 times 7, and 4. So, okay, let's do these. Bring an arrow over here. 3 times 4 is 12 minus, all right, 5 times -2 is -10. All right, plus 3 times 7 is 21. And then minus, well, this is technically 1 times 4, so we're just going to say -4. And then lastly, we're going to add or subtract. Just be careful with your negatives. -12 minus, or not -12, I was thinking ahead. 12 minus -10 is like 12 plus 10. All right, so that's 22. And then if we add 21 to that, all right, that's 43. And then if we minus 4, it should be 39. Let's keep moving on here. All right, so we're going to do these two together. If you guys want to pause this and try to do the next two on your own, you can. If not, you can follow along. All right, so here we're going to plug in 3 for X and 4 for Y. So we're going to change this to 3 squared. Remember to put these in parentheses, plus 2 times 3 plus 16 divided by 4 squared. All right, so we're going to go through. There's nothing inside the parentheses to simplify with our PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So we're going to go ahead and get this started. So let's see. We got 3 squared. We're going to take care of these exponents first. 3 squared is 9. And we got plus 2 times 3 plus 16 divided by 4 squared is 16. All right, next we're going to do the multiplication and division. We actually have a set of multiplication here and a set of division there. So we're going to take care of those. So we got 9 plus 2 times 3 is 6. 16 divided by 16 is 1. And then what we're going to do at the end is just add and subtract. So we just add those two together. 9 plus 6 plus 1, 16. Let's check the next one, see how you did here. We got x times z plus 3 plus 1 plus 3 minus y. Remember, not so much practicality here, but we're just checking the skills so that when we start applying things that actually work, we know how to do everything. So let's plug these numbers in. So x is 6, so we got 6 times z is 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 3 minus y is -5. God, probably should put those in parentheses. All right, so if we look here, what we're going to do first is take care of this innermost parenthesis. All right, so we're going to leave this 6 alone. I like to put it just kind of by itself outside the parenthesis. And we got 2 plus 3 is 5. And then we got plus 1 plus 3 minus -5. All right, next through PEMDAS, we're going to do multiplying and dividing. So we're just going to multiply the 6 times 5 together. That's 30 plus 1 plus 3 minus -5. And then we're going to add or subtract at the end to get our answer. The only thing we got to be careful here, minus -5 is just like plus 5. So 30 plus 1 plus 3, okay, that's 34 plus 5 is 39. Okay. So what you guys have to do here is this technically should say CYU 0.1, CYU 1. This is your first online quiz on Canvas. So remember, I'm just going to show you guys here. Canvas, we're going to go through here. It has all your assignments on there. You're just going to go ahead, click this open. You'll take the quiz. I'm going to click preview here because I'm the teacher. And you'll just answer those questions, okay? They're the exact same questions right now in the guided notes that you guys have. So that way you guys can work together. Later on in the year, they won't always be the exact same questions, but we'll work out. And a clue here is that if you add up all your answers here, you should get 38. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Have a good one.